I think it's very important for Hezbollah to be able to say to its constituents, in line with its defense doctrine, that we know the destruction is huge, but look, we didn't start it, the Israelis did, and all we did was to defend ourselves in Lebanon. Also, it should not be forgotten that Hezbollah owes its military might to the logistical and financial backing of Iran. And Iran has not turned Hezbollah into a perhaps uniquely powerful non-state military actor just so that it can defend little Lebanon against the possibility of future Israeli aggression. Hezbollah's military capabilities serve as a component of Iranian deterrence against the possibility of an attack by the US and/or Israel against Tehran's nuclear facilities. One reason why Hezbollah was so strongly against the 2006 war was because it exposed and damaged 6 years of preparations as part of Iran's deterrence capabilities. Planners of an attack on Iran have to take into account the possible reaction of Hezbollah. Will Hezbollah unleash its arsenal of long-range rockets against Israel if Iran is attacked? What if the attack on Iran was limited and absorbable rather than existential? Would Hezbollah stay its hand? If an attack on Iran was unavoidable, should Hezbollah be dealt with before, after, or simultaneously? These questions have to be addressed by parties contemplating an attack on Iran, and therefore represent factors of deterrence for the Iranians. So what are the potential trigger factors for a war? One possibility is the fulfillment of Hezbollah's vowed revenge for the assassination in 2008 of Ahmad Bughni. So far that revenge has not been forthcoming, although there have been reports of attacks being thwarted in Azerbaijan, Turkey and Egypt. How credible these reported attacks are, and whether they really were linked to Bughni is open to debate. A second possibility is an Israeli aerial assault against a Hezbollah arms shipment. There were reports recently that the Israelis had planned to bomb an alleged arms convoy, but called it off at the last minute. A third possibility is that a war begins in connection with a planned attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. And a fourth possibility is a simple miscalculation, similar to the one both sides made in 2006, Hezbollah's ill-fated decision to snatch 2 Israeli soldiers, and Israel's equally unwise decision to go to war over it. Both sides have learned a lesson in the pitfalls of brinkmanship and appear to be far more cautious in their actions. But the risk remains of miscalculation, or at least misinterpreting the other party's actions. So how will Hezbollah fight the next war? First, Hezbollah, both the leadership and the cadres, the guys on the ground, believe that the next war will change the shape of the region. That is a phrase that Nasrallah himself has used. Hezbollah seeks to inflict a powerful blow on Israel, smash Israeli powers of deterrence, humiliate and demoralize the Israeli public, and dissuade Israel from launching any military adventures against Iran. The morale of the fighters is extremely high. They are champing at the bit for the next confrontation, and they genuinely believe that it will signal the end of Israel as a regional power. The language used by the cadres is in fact quite apocalyptic. Hezbollah's leaders also in public say that the next war will be decisive, but in private they acknowledge that they cannot guarantee that they will win. But whoever does win, they say, will have the upper hand in the region for many years to come. In 2006, Hezbollah fought a reactive and defensive war. Remember, it was a conflict that it didn't want to fight and wanted to finish as quickly as possible and with as little cost as possible. In the next war, Hezbollah will go on the offensive. It will not wait to react to Israeli moves, but will try to dictate the pace of the events through its own actions. The general strategy will remain much the same as 2006, that is, to pound Israel with a steady barrage of short, medium and long-range rockets to pressure the Israeli civilian population and by extension the Israeli government, and to vigorously confront any ground invasion by Israeli troops. Maintaining the flow of rockets into Israel is critical to Hezbollah's strategic thinking. If Israeli forces entered Lebanon in sizable numbers and met with limited opposition, they would soon neutralize the rocket-firing positions, denying Hezbollah its main leverage to influence the outcome of the war. That is why Hezbollah has invested so much energy and time in building its camouflaged Maginot Line in the southern half of Lebanon and acquiring new, more advanced weapon systems. In the past, Hezbollah's ability to inflict damage on the Israeli home front was limited by the variety of rockets at its disposal. Since 2006, Hezbollah has been looking for systems that will allow it to hit strategic targets in Israel, such as military sites, air bases, airports, transport hubs, industrial facilities, and so on. This is a key requirement for Hezbollah in the next war. Targeting data reportedly is being compiled by Hezbollah-run intelligence networks in Israel, as well as more mundane methods, such as perusing Israeli maps and even the popular Google Earth web facility. Much of northern Israel is visible on Google Earth at a resolution of 2 meters per pixel. It clearly shows numerous military and civilian facilities, such as the Israeli Air Force Air Control Base on Mount Meron in western Galilee, Ben Gurion Airport outside Tel Aviv, and industrial facilities in Haifa. In a speech in February, Nasrallah hinted that Hezbollah today has the ability not only to strike specific targets, but also to destroy them, indicating that Hezbollah not only possesses rockets with guidance capabilities, but also with warheads substantially larger than in the past. The M600 rocket gives Hezbollah the capability of accurately targeting these valuable facilities and potentially causing substantial damage with its half-ton warheads. Hezbollah may well choose to use convergence fire on specific targets, using a cocktail of different rockets. For example, the Mount Meron air control base is only 4.5 miles south of the border with Lebanon. That means it could be targeted by short-range 107mm Katyusha rockets from the villages of, say, Yarun and Maruna Ras on the border in Lebanon, by 122mm Katyushas from the area of Yata village, a little further to the north, Syrian 220mm rockets from locations north of the Litani, and by M600s launched from the northern Bekaa near Hermel in North Lebanon. Since 2006, numerous Hezbollah fighters have hinted to me that they're preparing to take the battle into Israel next time, possibly through cross-border commando raids. I don't think this is a new tactic. I remember hearing such rumors and writing about it in the Daily Star as long ago as 2002. Hezbollah had plans to send commando squads across the border in the event of an all-out war. Sending commandos across the border may have a negligible effect on the outcome of the war, but it would have a major psychological propaganda effect. Not only would it cause panic in northern Israel, it would also help rally support in the Arab and Muslim world. Look, Hezbollah could say, our holy fighters are confronting the Zionists in Palestine. Hezbollah would be forcing the Israelis to fight on their own territory, reversing established Israeli doctrine of fighting its wars on the territory of its neighbors. In similar vein, Hezbollah may well attempt seaborne incursions along the northern Israel coast or underwater sabotage missions in northern Israeli ports. I'll wrap up with a very brief look at some of the repercussions of such a conflict, and we can expand upon this in the questions if you like. As for Syria, I'm not certain that Syria would unilaterally choose to enter the war, although it has said that it will. I think much depends on how the war actually starts. But it would have very little choice but to get involved if it came under attack by Israel first. Iran will stay out of the war but offer political and moral support, whatever kind of logistical assistance it could provide under the circumstances.